Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to an earlier edition of the Missing Lynx post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage and Sports Illustrated, and we got Terry Horstman.
Hey!
We both do things for Hitting the Hardwood, but he's also, with the 9, a basketball genius, if you will.
Well, thank you for that. Absolutely not, if this is your first time seeing / hearing me, but I appreciate the good introduction. I appreciate being on here with you at just after 9:30. God bless the East Coast sometimes. And also we're going just before we hit record talking about the parts of this game that we want to hit before moving to trade deadline stuff. The stat in the final box I always look at first: game duration. 1 hour 46 minutes in this one.
We love it.
That's the good stuff. Good job. I'll do this. Maj Forsberg, Marcy Williams, Genesis Perrimond.
By name.
That's a name shout out of 3 officials who I'm sure we could find plenty to gripe with if we really tried. But man, love a game with a good amount of pace. Love a game in under 2 hours, under an hour 50 minutes. Don't see that too often anymore. And maybe they sometimes, I always say they lie by a minute or two, but 146, that's special right there.
25 fouls. That was it. 25 fouls for 24 free throws. That is the WNBA I love. And that is just awesome. I love a game that goes fast. The tempo play fast, so it felt even faster. And the Lynx, first thing, just 9 straight wins. That's a very good achievement. The third largest victory of the season, as you briefed me beforehand. I think Cassidy tweeted that out as well. So I feel confident not doing the research myself that you guys have.
We checked. I spent 2 minutes looking at a margin of victory. So imagine that no mistakes could have been made.
The thing that impressed me the most, though, 22 turnovers by the Lynx. Normally, when you play a team back to back, there's, they clean those things up.
22 forced turnovers, you bet.
22 forced turnovers. The Tempo had 22 turnovers. The Lynx only had 6.
I had to do a double take there.
Lynx only had 10 turnovers, not 6. 10 turnovers for the Lynx, 22 for the Tempo. That is not very long after the Tempo had 22 turnovers at the Target Center. 44 turnovers in a 2-game span against the same team. That is insane.
Yeah. I think that's just kind of what happens when you get a young team that doesn't take care of the ball well meets one of the best teams at turning you over. And the Lynx have been one of, especially in points off turnover, gap, which was, I think it ended up being 31-10, and the Tempo got a bucket off a steal late. So yeah, I think that's a good sign that the Lynx asserted their will, and Sandy Brondello is not a bad coach. So I think that bodes well for the Lynx and of this new era of expansion too. I still don't know if we're technically calling the Portland Fire an expansion team. I know we are, but they did exist before this. But now in the current era,
throwback team,
expansion teams, they're 8-0 against the Valkyries, 3-0 against the Tempo, and 2-0 against the Fire. So it's
13-0.
13 is a good start for Coach Reeve and the Lynx against this new era of expansion teams. So we'll see if they can keep it going. I believe the next one will be, they got Portland and Golden State on the same road trip coming up. So
Chuckle mentions it in the chat as well. Everybody scored. Kosu hit a honestly really good looking corner 3.
I was so happy when that went.
Man.
Full transparency. I wanted that all 11 players scoring, and post game kind of got cut off a little bit. We wanted to ask about Ola getting basically 0 minutes since Fee came back, and without going into Cheryl's mind, which I know would probably be just too impressive for me even to handle. I think the key there is the last few words of Fee came back and it's just a fuller cupboard than it's been all year.
there was a lot of people sending me or adding me on Twitter or Instagram of just saying like, is Dorka or not Dorka, is Kosu getting traded and stuff like that? And it's like, I don't think so. I mean, anything is possible, but she's on a rookie second round pick minimum. Team has team control of her. I think it's just much more likely that they're trying to get Dorka as many minutes as humanly possible to see if she's a plus player or not, which up until this kind of moment, even tonight, like she scored 12 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. Like she did have a good offensive game, but like the second quarter was another really rough one for her. I think that's more of why Ola isn't playing, is just they have Fee and Dorka they got to figure out what they have, because if Dorka isn't a plus player, they're kind of stuck without a 6'5" big, right?
Yeah, and I think Ola's is kind of the odd woman out at the moment, because I mean, Cassidy in our group chat was just like, oh, not that many minutes for Nia tonight, and I'm like, well, you're not going to put Nia back out there when they're up by like, I think the biggest lead was 36 at one point, and someone's just going to get the short end of the stick. And I loved the Nia minutes. I'm glad she hit a 3 late so that it like people wouldn't just like see Nia going scoreless. But yeah, I think you do need to get Dorka back in the swing of things. And also Ola still being just like 21. Like I can understand why people would be like, oh, she's been in the system 2 years. And we're not seeing, like, I think they're being very, very safe with Ola when talking to people across the WNBA media space about potential trades. Kind of, and we're going to do this later in the show, but like Ola's kind of the only name that I can come up with, because I don't think anyone in the top 6 rotation is moving or top 7, really. I know this is blowing my cover for when we talk about Fee later, which I know is already being mentioned in the chat. I don't think any of those players are moving. It's like Ola is really kind of only like the attractive asset that the Lynx would have for, especially if a team is like trying to like enter a full rebuild. But I think you can still be patient with her. I disagree a little bit on Dorka. I think the way she played in the second half and other parts kind of at least canceled out the stretch in the second quarter. That's enough. Fair. And the last game. So I'd push back a little bit on that. And then I also just don't know how hurt she is, because she came back from the foot sprain and then was a late scratch to that. I forget what game that was now, a couple of weeks ago. But then today gets added, is questionable at noon, probable at 4. And then at 7:45 has a weird rotation on defense, but then still hits 4 threes in a 32-point victory. And I thought I thought her offense was good, and I thought defensively she made some strong rebounds, which wasn't the case in the last game against Toronto. Like it was just like, who can you even have her out there? So I don't know if it's a health thing or if she's still just getting back or what. The concern is valid, but I thought tonight was a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, the offense, this is what makes Dorka valuable, right? Like 2 assists, 12 points, good 3-point, even the threes that she missed. I think like one of them she airballed, but the other 2 looked fine. Like it's really difficult to play defense against the Lynx when now they have a 6'5" stretch, like pick and pop player. Like the upside of the offense is awesome. It's just there's just things on defense where like she doesn't rotate or she doesn't run back as hard. That was more the first game than this game. I think like effort level, she was fine tonight. But there's just little things on the defensive side that's just, if her offense isn't going, it makes it a really tough watch.
That just reminded me, I think this was her rookie year. So my first year, the year before you were on the beat, but coach said a very funny thing about Dorka, where she had some nice games in a row, and like that team was weird because, you know, it started 0-6 and then made the playoffs. So it was just kind of all over the place. And one day after practice, she was talking, or after a game, she was talking about Dorka, and she said, I'll find this exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, the only player I think I've ever seen who's faster with the ball than without the ball. And I'm not really sure how that works. And I remember like, that's an interesting thing for a young player. So maybe that's the problem on defense. You can't really have the ball on defense. So yeah, it just feels like she should be faster in a number of aspects of the game, but like, I'm content to still be patient. I wouldn't move her at this deadline because you still have her on restricted free agency. Next year, you're in a position to be the team to bring her back if you want to. I would wait to see what you have and let her get some more minutes in with this team.
Completely agree. I guess I would consider, like, if I was a GM, I would consider moving her just because like it has been such a wash season for her so far where like injury is just you can't make some of this stuff up where it's like 2 games back and then she pulls her knee in warmups and it's like, okay, well, so I think I would be a little more open to moving her, but at the same time, I don't feel like you can give up on the project.
Right.
I think you got to give her another at least 7 or 8 games, get to that 15.
And if she's part of the deal that brings in like someone super exciting, well, just Kelsey Plum, just because that's a name that's in trades. You can do your fake trades, whatever. I'm fine with that. I'm just not looking. I don't think she has to be moved. I don't think she's in a position where it's like, oh, like she's going to be unplayable down the stretch. I'm not there yet. She
also seems like a good vibes player. Like, I don't know. People on the team seem to genuinely like her. So it's not like you'd try to move her. But if someone's like, yeah, you got to throw Dorka in for this to get done, I think just based off of her year, you probably feel better about it now than when she was coming off a EuroLeague MVP and we didn't know she would be as injured. I guess other things coming from this game, just the amount of players scoring in double figures. Hemzova had another really good game. Tony looked great. I don't know what it is against Toronto that Tony is just, maybe it's just confidence and she needs more minutes. Maya, I thought, had a really fire and ice game. Like, really good defense at times, had some really good moments on offense, and then she had a couple jump passes directly into the defenders, which was tough. Bench overall, though, like we were kind of talking about it at the last game of just, if Maya Caldwell and Tony are just playing well, they don't really have a lot of needs on this team.
Right. Matched a career high 4 steals for Maya. I think she's been really good. Like she's been a good rebounding guard in her career. But that's just been more evident these last times out. I thought she was really good in the last game before the All-Star break. And like Cheryl mentioned with us when we talked earlier in the season, where she kind of threw a stray at Simone Augustus in this conversation, but was like, if the guards can get to 10 rebounds total, then like we're good. Like we're going to have the rebounding edge we want. And the stray was, she's like, all right, so Simone will get 1. And so I'd tell Way and Daniel Robinson, you guys need 9 between the 2 of you. So divvy it up because we got 1 with Simone. And this wasn't, like a spectacular, rebounding night by any means, but you get 3 each from Court and Liv and 5 from Maya off the bench. That gets you to your 16. And then even Hamzova had 5 rebounds. So they just guards on this team
rebounder though
to be able to rebound, and I think that's helped with the transition offense. And definitely effort level was certainly there tonight. I really like Maya's minutes tonight.
Yeah, Maya, again, it's just always funny. It feels like when it was just like last game where she had that like defensive impact and then she had 2 fouls on inbounds. And it's like, well, that's the downside of my call. It almost is like a brain fart at times. Someone in the chat mentioned Alishka Hemzova needs to get signed. I'm willing to say like, yes,
I think she will.
I think she's past development and she could be useful in the playoffs. So I would do a main roster, and then maybe you're just sniping a development player and then using Emma's eventual salary and roster spot to sign a bigger name, but like she's been really good this year in spot minutes.
Yeah, I think these 3 straight 7 days are just shrewd moves around roster construction.
Yeah,
and I know 7 days count against the cap, so I don't know what it's. I think it's just helping the Lynx stay as flexible as possible. I don't think it's an indictment on Hamsova at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's been just kicking it. I looked up the 7 days, and it depends on how many games they play, and you have to pay them like the minimum of the vet minimum for games that are played. So like I think over the last 3 7-day contracts, they've played like 6 games or something like that, or it amounts to be like $40,000, which if they end up giving her the vet minimum for the rest of this season, and that allows them to wait until after the trade deadline to make the signing or move they want to, then I guess mission accomplished. Kudos to Cheryl again. We probably should talk about trade stuff. I mean, Godfrey mentions kind of my position on it of like the Lynx don't really need to make any trades.
Sure.
Again, if Tony's playing good and Maya are playing good, theoretically Dorka can give you size. Maybe you need just like another. I mean, they need another body. They can't physically go into the roster without a full roster. But what's kind of your thoughts before we get into the fee of it all and individual players? Like, what do you think their biggest need is at this point?
It kind of depends on who's having a good game or not. Which is a cop out, I know.
Yes.
I'd probably take another ball handler just in case, we haven't seen it in a while, but if Liv or Court are in foul trouble and it's like, okay, we're going to have to put in Maya at point guard. I think that takes away from the best things that she's capable of doing offensively. So I don't know, who that would be. I mean, not to say her name for the second time in this podcast episode, but Kelsey Plum is the name that's on the trade block right now. It's not going to be her. I'm just going to say that. But someone who can handle the ball in a pinch. It may even be. I've wanted them to bring in JJ Quinterly this entire time since she's been a free agent. And I don't know if that's that's not going to get anyone excited at the trade deadline if that's the pickup, but something like that. Or, just someone from one of these teams that's clearly not in the playoff picture. I think, just the guard play that can, if things go haywire, just have a high floor. But honestly, I'd say just bring in the most talented person you can find too. And if that's Emma Meesman and Lynx fans finally get to see Emma, then sure. But like Godfrey said, and I don't think you need to do too much. And you're 24-6, top of the league. What isn't broke, you don't have to fix.
I'm right there with you. It just, again, the top 6 of this team with coffee, I wouldn't touch any of them or their roles, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I would really hesitate to trade Maya, as a lot of people are bringing up in the chat. Like, she's great for vibes, but also she is an incredibly useful player. Like, we're going to see her against Indiana on Sunday. She's going to be full court pressing the entire game. Like, every minute she's in, she's going to be annoying for Mitchell or Clark. And that's inherently valuable in a playoff series where it's just like, game 6, we need to do something different. Maya, get out there and be as annoying as possible. And there's just not a lot of players that are willing to like do that type of stuff. It's not fun to play full court defense and then not be involved on offense. Right. She seems to love it. I don't think the value for a Tony is there. I don't like what rebuilding team would trade an asset away for Collier. I also think they again genuinely like her as kind of that release valve of everyone's a little too hyped up, let's get the adult in there. And then you're getting to like Dorka, Ola, Alishka, which
Yeah.
At that point, it's like we got our top 8. Now we're just looking, like you said, now we're just looking for a higher floor point guard than Alishka that we can throw in there and steady things if someone gets hurt, which I'm in the same boat.
May have completely won me over by this point, and I'm just deciding now because the dev spot players can't play in the playoffs.
Correct.
And putting her out there in a playoff series versus a regular season game, I'm like, ooh, do I want to ride this lightning or watch it? I don't know. But I think the most likely scenario, if they do anything, would be, the trade for Maya Caldwell in training camp, where they just sent Portland a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
Yep.
But we could see right away, like, okay, yeah, this is quality depth for basically nothing. The chances of even getting, a 10th of a win share from a 3rd-round pick are basically 0%. And I think Maya's well over a half, maybe even a full win share at this point for this season. Don't quote me on that, but I think, Cheryl might just put the call out, like who's available for a price of a future 3rd. And that would have to be next year's 3rd. Cause I haven't seen the draft assets beyond from 2029 and beyond. But yeah, they have next year's 3rd available. You got Maya Caldwell for 2028's 3rd in the training camp. See who you can get for next year's 3rd. There's somebody.
I'm going to throw us over to some ad reads here. When we come back, I'll throw some names at you and see if any of them do anything for you, or at least raise your eyebrows. Then we will talk. I'm not going to tease it the entire time. We will talk the fee kind of headlines that have been out there this week, but we'll close with that because I don't think it's going to be a very long conversation.
No.
Ads first. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Lynx podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. Should have one more ad going. Maybe not.
It's
maybe we can. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. Of summarized all of my thoughts up of just realistically, you mostly play top 8 in the playoffs.
Sure.
Hams wouldn't get very minutes unless something really goes wrong.
Right. And to be clear, that whole thing was on if Liv and Court are in foul trouble or unavailable. So that's just your break in case of emergency ball handler, the 12th spot on the roster. That's all I was saying. And I'm fine with that being Hamsova too.
Nope, and I'm right there with you where it's like I currently feel like the point guard position is still the one I would want to shore up just because again, let's say Court goes down with a sprained ankle and now you just have Liv. Liv can't play 40 minutes a game. Like and I don't know if I trust Alishka to play 8 minutes a game yet. I would rather have someone no one is I was digging through the chat here and no one has brought her up today, which is funny because everyone was bringing her up the last live stream. Masha's still under contract for the Tempo. Like 3rd round pick for Masha? Who says no? Maybe it's Masha. Maybe she really is enjoying her year off, but like
that could be it. Yeah, I would need to know what kind of. I guess Masha did have a good year.
Yeah.
With the Katrinberg. So in theory, though that season ended months ago. Yeah, I love Mosh. But it just doesn't seem like she's on the table. That's been kind of confusing. I know rumors of the tempo took her, but then didn't know how hard it was for Russians to get Canadian visas and things like that. I have a hard time believing that tempo wouldn't have known that. And maybe they just we've seen this before where teams take those players who aren't going to come for a year because it gives them flexibility. So but yeah, I would trade a 3rd round pick for Masha Klindikova every day of the week.
I mean, that would be my pipe dream of just let's get all of the vibes back, including Masha, just like wandering around and diving for loose balls in practice. I mean, Julie Van Loo.
I like Julie Van Loo.
That's kind of my other pipe dream of maybe they can get a different Belgium player to come over here instead.
We have our first Olivia Apupa mention in the chat, and
hey, Olivia Apupa,
the president of the Olivia Apupa fan club Minnesota chapter.
I will say that is still like my cult classic player of Olivia Apupa, of just throw her in there. She does most of the same stuff Maya Caldwell does, only shorter.
Only at 5'5". She tried, like so earnestly tried to go one-on-one with BG on defense and block her. And she didn't do it, but she was endeared to me ever since that attempt. So yeah,
every time you mention like the perfect Minnesota role player, all effort, not very tall. I don't think we ever spoke to her. just delightful.
Super engaged on the bench. No, she had a couple in 2024. She had there was a game against the Wings, a bad Wings team, and they were playing like shit. And she came. I think she had 4 steals in the 4th quarter. And she was the post-game player along with Fee.
Remember that.
Yeah, and Fee said, we don't win this game without Ollie. So yeah, definitely the Apupa highlight tape is not long, but it is awesome.
Rebecca, there was only 3 of us in the cult, but it's still a good time.
We're having a good time.
Still a good time. Yeah. Which, fun fact about Olivia, she's a Puma athlete, so I'm sure she's doing well playing in France or wherever she is still. Is there anyone that you... Real quick, Balkers just says, does the new CBA allow for 2 Olivias? That would be that would be tough. There's already too many Olivias in my life.
Right, no, but Miles is Liv, and Apupa was Ollie. Yeah. So it's Liv and Ollie.
Living all, yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's also
we would know who
Cheryl's son. Cheryl's son is Ollie, but he doesn't play for the team, so
yeah, we don't talk about him as much,
right?
Is there anyone that's on kind of your realistic short list of just who do you think would come in and make an impact? Because again, I like chat saying my ideal addition at this point is the 10th person in the rotation that probably never plays in the playoffs.
Yeah. Gosh, it's kind of a bummer that Anissa Morrow keeps playing amazing. Because I do know that Reeve and I think just the whole organization was very high on her in the 2024 draft. There was no chance she was actually there's no chance she was going to fall to 15, which was their first pick in the draft with their use on Ola, but they traded out of 11. And I believe it was that night Reeve kind of mentioned in passing that she would have been mad at herself if Morrow had gotten to 11, but she didn't. So I think there was a potential earlier this year, but that I just don't think that's going to happen. And then it's I don't know who I'm literally looking at the Chicago, Connecticut box score right now because we know those teams are
Those are two of the teams.
Any other year, I'd be like, yeah, call Chicago about JC Sheldon. Like that defense first, just hard-nosed wing. They just traded a first-round pick for JC Sheldon. So maybe you call him anyway. It is Chicago. I'm kind of wearing a Chicago shirt. This is from All-Star. This is not a Sky shirt, I promise. But yeah, I'd be like, hey, Chicago, we'll give you a third-round pick and whatever drywall you need to finish this practice facility that you can't seem to get done. And see if that gets JC Sheldon for some, 3-and-D depth. I don't know. So yeah, no one really comes to mind. I'm kind of with the team no trade. But yeah, do you have anyone else that's like kind of
mine are all kind of just signings. Like if Tosh gets bought out, is there a world where you can just say, hey, Tosh, come try and win a ring? We'll give you 8 to 12 minutes and see what Tosh Cloud can do. Like reigning hen. Appreciate you. But like those are, other than that, like Van Loo's the other pipe dream for me of just get a 10-year veteran in here that is going to understand that they are here to win a chance or win a championship. Their role probably isn't going to be that much. Maybe you shine in your role and you get another contract out of it. But I feel like that's my concern of bringing in a younger player from either a trade or a signing is just, are they going to really get it when it's, game 5 of a playoff series and their number isn't getting called because they're the 11th person on the roster? I feel like that's something all of the vets on this team kind of understand, whether it's, Tony or Alishka or Ola, who's so young still. Like, they don't really have an ego, and this is a really good vibes team.
That's why I am kind of hesitant with some of these. Like, I love Natasha Cloud, but I haven't seen her on a team where she's not getting the ball a lot and also not a very dependable 3-point shooter. So that's one where I'm just like, I don't know if that fits, but she has won a championship. So I really like Ray Burrell. Some questions with the defense, and I just think she'd be too expensive from an asset standpoint.
Yeah.
So this is not very dynamic trade deadline talk because we're just saying this isn't gonna work. Obviously, they have some wiggle room with the SEI that they can apply for Chekova. But yeah, I don't think and it's not going to be for Dejanay, though it would be funny because Dejanay played tonight. Looks like she played okay, and the Sky pulled away at the end and won. Shout out Chicago. Nicely done.
That is the team that if they're going to make a trade, I would.
This would
Chicago,
be like
Seattle. Like, and again, they can make the money work to bring in a bigger contract.
And I know I'll make fun of people all the time who make the WNBA NBA comparisons, but if Dejanay is traded before the deadline, she would be the Rasheed Wallace playing one game for the Atlanta Hawks before being traded of this era of the WNBA, coming back, playing one game with the Sky, and then getting traded to some contender when she went to the Pistons. So that would just be another, not that we need more ammo for making fun of the Sky, but that would be another piece of it. I'm looking at every roster throughout the league and just kind of the salaries and stuff. And I'm not a cap expert by any means, but yeah, I just don't see an obvious one.
Yeah.
The only thing I see that's obvious is not trading Fee, which is not going to happen.
Let's bring that in. Annie has article that comes out in The Athletic that, I would assume Annie, like John Krasinski, like me, and probably like you, don't always title our articles. That usually goes to our editors that do that, or at least at Zone Coverage and The Athletic, from what I hear. Annie wrote a really good Kelsey Plum might get moved at the deadline piece, and then threw in like Fee also is on a 1-year deal, like probably should watch. Teams are going to call. I would also say like the likelihood of Fee getting traded is probably the same as Kelsey Mitchell and Jackie Young, who are also on 1-year deals. blew up the internet. Now there are every website doing the top 5 most likely teams to acquire Fee at the deadline. Terry, I'll let you go first. Any validity to it, I guess?
I'm going to say no, and I don't have that from someone inside the team. They're trying to win the title. Yeah. Reeve wants that one for the thumb bad. Fee wants it bad. And I think the best chance for everyone, it's not the same as risk, like the Sparks risking losing Plum for nothing. It's not the same when it's a run at a championship. And
they have lost 6 games.
Yes, they've lost 6 total games. Fee has looked good in these 3. It is only going to get better. I don't think she's going to be moved. I think it would be the height of stupidity, to be honest. And also, it's important in that piece too. That was the day of media availability that I missed trying to get back from All-Star Weekend. There's a movie about it right now. It's called The Odyssey. That was basically the trip back that I had to endure. So I missed a couple interviews that day. Cheryl's always going to say we're open for business. And she's always going to say things like no one's untradeable. Chat, you guys know this as well as we do. You've been following Cheryl. She doesn't say things like definitively that could come back to bite her, where it's like, oh, we're not going to do this. And then it's like, okay, something changes. And then they do it. So she's never going to say we're not trading this person. She's never going to say we're shopping this person. She's not going to tell us anything. So it's not surprising that she said we're open for business when you guys were asked. And that was the only Annie had included information from executives in pretty much every other part of that article, except on the few Lynx graphs. There was no one being like, well, we'll see what they can get for Fee, what's out there. And
Cheryl
just
saying,
not going to do it.
The context of me asking that question to Cheryl was literally just, you guys have to make a move. Like, it's the last 7-day contract for Maya Caldwell. You have a developmental, or for Hamzova, you have a developmental spot open, and you have the Emma kind of injury exemption. Like, what is the thought process coming into the deadline? And I left me answering the question on the post. And she answered that question exactly how I figured she would, which is we're open for business. We've been looking to make moves all year. And then in the next question, where I kind of asked her how, the developmental spots and 7 days and the new CBA is in kind of inflected roster building. That's when she said, we plan to use the Emma, injury exemption and make a move there to add to the roster. It was nothing about Fee. Fee's name did not get brought up. It's just a GM saying GM stuff, which, again, like, they are looking to win a championship. You don't trade the second best player in basketball off of your team to try and win a champ. That's ludicrous. Mm-hmm. And even if, like, let's say they get knocked out in the first round and Fee leaves, like, yeah, that's going to really suck. And I think people are going to be able to go back and say, Cheryl, why didn't you move her at the deadline if you knew that she was going to leave? The answer to that question is, what are they going to be at the deadline? It'll be after the Fever game. So,
well, the Fever, cool, WNBA. The deadline is at 2:00 on Sunday. They tip off against the Fever at noon on Sunday. So if they haven't made a move by the time that game tips off,
it's right.
Maybe she and Steph White agree to a trade of some kind at halftime. We'll see.
But my point being is, like, when people come back and will say, why didn't you trade Fee at the deadline if you knew she was going to walk? No. They're 24-6.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best chance at a ring they've had out of the last 3 years. You don't trade an asset. Like, that's what the Twins do.
Yeah.
Lunacy.
For sure. It's not going to happen. I also think there's a really good chance that Fee comes back on a long-term deal. I think the 1-year deal was entirely to give herself as much flexibility as possible, which she'll still have. But she didn't need, there's so many things out of the question. We didn't know how good this team was going to be. We didn't know how she was going to rehab from multiple surgeries. And a 1-year deal, like, what if the team sucked? And then she could go sign elsewhere. And I think Cheryl sharing that story about Syl when they did the Hall of Fame thing is maybe not intentional, but a little poignant, where Cheryl had that conversation with Syl after the 2018 season. They knew Lindsay was retiring. Maya retiring was a little bit more of a surprise that happened later. Band was kind of breaking up a little bit. And I think this was probably after the Maya news, because that did happen before training camp, and said, let me know like the championship contender and I'll help get you there. And Syl said no. But I also think if Fee signed a long-term deal here and came back, that if the Lynx shoot their shot and miss, or shoot their shot and get it, but then the band, there's a similar band breaking up moment years down the line, and Fee wants to spend the last years of her career somewhere else, that Cheryl will help facilitate that. So I was paying attention during that story and was just like, okay. And not Cheryl's that,
mentioned it a couple times of like, the players that are here want to be here. And every time she kind of mentions that stuff, it does make me feel like Fee does want to be here, I would assume.
And I would say the last few media avails with Fee, she could have given way more conservative answers. And she doesn't have a history of telling us a lot. She has said
very boring interview.
Very often. Well, you called her boring. I didn't. So if you're watching Fee
and or Fee's husband, whose names I'm blanking on, Mila, Alex. Go to bed. It's like 11:18 wherever you are. But like
Fee's not going to. She's not going to give a lot.
With a large media avail, very boring. Fee with like 3 of us,
fantastic. And awesome. Fee with 3 of us after not talking to us for a while, incredible.
Great.
And has talked about at length how much she loves the way we celebrate people here. That was about Syl. That was about Cheryl getting to win number 380, and get probably 3 different answers about just how much she loves the way this organization celebrates people who give into this organization. Chat, fans, she's called y'all the best fans in the world like 9 times in the past 2 weeks. And I know you're Minnesotans. I'm one too. That's like, oh, she's setting us up for us to have our heart broken. Or maybe she does just think the world of you and doesn't want to play in front of any other fans. I don't know. But from now 4 years,
her first release, Jordan, is an homage to the Lynx.
Right. She's like, I wanted it to be all Lynx colors. Yeah, I think it's just, that gave her some leverage and some flexibility. And the best contract in the WNBA for the next few years will be Olivia Miles. If you want to win a championship, being a max player on a team that has Olivia Miles on that team control is probably the best setup in sports. So if Fee leaves, I'd be shocked. And I mean, maybe she just really wants to live in LA, but the Sparks are a clusterfuck. Good luck. There's not another super obvious one. I don't think she'd want to try and win a ring as second fiddle in New York or Vegas. I think Golden State is kind of the one team where you could maybe sort of like, you could see the vision a little bit, but that doesn't solve all of those teams' limitations. And you've got a coach who looks like a great young coach, but hasn't won a playoff game yet. You're going to trade the winningest coach ever for that lotto ticket? I just don't see it.
Also, if it's a trade, the Valkyries are up against the cap. They would have to send back $1.4
it would have to be Gabby.
It'd be Gabby.
Yeah.
And then if you're the Lynx, it's, well, we got Gabby under contract and we're the best team in the league without Fee. Like, I do understand the fans that are like, they could sell her, get somebody in, maybe get a couple picks back. And like, I get that part. The part that I disagree with is just like, this is their best chance at a championship since 2017. I don't think that's 2019. I don't think that's crazy to say. 2017. When did Maya retire?
Well, 2017. If you're saying the last championship, that was 2017. Yeah. I think they were within one game in 2024. So 2024 was very, very close.
And I would argue that this team is better than that team. Like, I don't think you can trade away that type of asset. Also, like, what does that say to the Olivia Miles on this roster? That's like looking at this thing of like, we're the best team in the league. We have a shot at a champion. What's that message to Court and K-Mac if you're trade? Like, it has such a potential to blow everything up.
Well, and they know how hard it is. How hard it is to get there, and how many more shots. I mean, we joke that K-Mac's going to play for another 50 years, but at some point she's going to be done and Court's going to be done. And how many more shots this thing do you realistically have left once you hit your mid-30s? And they're on a collision course with it this year. So you've got to put everything you have into it, and that means keeping feet. I can't believe we're even talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good
product. I understand why we have to, but it's like, what are we doing?
It's one of those things where it's like, I have been tagged probably half a dozen times on random people's posts saying that the reason Fee is leaving is because she has a bad relationship with Coach Reeve. That's why she didn't sign a 1-year deal. And it's like, yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy knows.
Right. So I do think it's important to at least get into the void that, like, you know, Annie wrote a piece quoting a question from a press scrum, and now it's kind of drawn all this up. Is every team in the league going to call the Lynx to see if Cheryl is open to trading? Yes.
Yeah. And Cheryl's going to answer the phone. That's what a good GM does.
Cheryl's going to answer the phone. And Cheryl's probably going to say, I want every player on your roster, every pick that you have, and most of your like office staff for Napheesa Collier. And then they're going to say, well, that was rude, and probably hang up.
Yeah. And Fee just gifted Jordans to the entire team.
Court after the game was talking about how dangerous they're going to be when Fee is integrated. I don't know. It's wild. I think that's all I have. That's all I have on it. Terry, anything you want to add? Any other nonsense you want to get to?
No, there's plenty of other less fun nonsense that we will be covering this weekend. So I think we can leave it at there for now.
Yeah, there will be other nonsense that we have to ask questions about and eventually post answers to and all of that fun stuff. So that's Terry Horstman from the 9. Thanks, man, for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
For anyone that popped into this late, does go up on YouTube and X as soon as I end the stream here. Let's see here. It'll come out tomorrow. That'd be Friday at 7 a.m. We will be back after that Fever game to talk about hopefully a Lynx win. I mean, again, karma has to exist in this world. I feel like the Lynx have a karmic win here. Natasha Howard just blowing out the team she won the Commissioner's Cup with. That would be pretty fun. A lot of storylines I'm looking forward to. But yeah, we'll be back after the Fever game. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you then.